Hi, my name's Kelly and welcome to my channel. Okay, so it is the 11th day of November, which, by the way, for any veterans out there, thank you for your service. My husband is a veteran and I come from a family just chock full of veterans. And I really do, I know the sacrifice that you guys have made and I appreciate it. And I know by the time you're seeing this, it's a little late, but it doesn't mean my heart wasn't there. Okay, so it is November the 11th, getting back on track. And I have finished 2 books so far. So I'm a third of the way through the month and I've finished 2 books, which I'm fine with. I have been taking a lot of time just spending with my kids, my family. We've had some busy weeks. My daughter is doing all sorts of stuff preparing for college next year, and I've been working on some stuff that God has been calling me to do, and so there's less reading going on, and I'm totally okay with that because time in God's Word and with my family have to come first before reading. But I have finished 2 books. And the first was The Pilgrim's Progress by, I just had a brain, John Bunyan. This is a reread for me. This is the second time I read it. The first time was a couple of years ago, and I enjoyed it then. I listened to it on audiobook, and my Fable book club this month is reading this together, and I zoomed through it. So I'm very excited about it. You guys, I even put some sticky tabs, like for little things that stood out to me. So I think one of my favorite parts is when Christian is getting ready to fight Apollyon, and he has just received this armor and he's walking with it on him, and it's very equivalent to the armor of God. And so there's this point where it says, "Then did Christian begin to be afraid and to cast on his mind whether to go back or to stand his ground. But he considered again that he had no armor for his back, and therefore thought that to turn the back to him might give him the greater advantage with ease to pierce him with his darts." He's thinking about Apollyon having better ease to pierce him with his darts to attack him because Christian has no armor on his back. And if you think about the armor of God, it also has no armor for our backs. And so that's very symbolic of how we are supposed to keep moving forward in our relationship with God, because we have the armor of God on us to protect us from moving forward. That's what that shield is for. That's what the Word of God, which is the sort of the Spirit, is for. And all of this armor, everything, the belt of truth, look it up. I'll put the scripture reference here. But none of that covers our back because we're not meant to turn back from where we came. We're not meant to go back that way. If things get hard, God is with us to walk through those hard times. But we're not meant to turn around and go back. So I really loved that part. I also loved, I love this verse. So there's a part where he's still fighting Apollyon, okay? And Apollyon it looks like he has the victory. And Christian quotes one of my favorite verses. It's from Micah. And he says, I love this, as he's reaching for his sword because he's not done. He says, "Rejoice not against me, O mine enemy. When I fall, I shall rise." I love that. I love that. I love that. Honestly, there were several things that stood out to me. I'm not going to read all of them because that would be a lot. But I had such a great time reading through this again and really taking the time to just kind of soak it in. I know I read through it a little fast, but I did. I soaked it in. I was spending some time each day just kind of reading a chapter and just dwelling on that and thinking about how that applied to my own walk with Christ. It was really good. I'm glad I read it. For those of you, because this was written a long time ago. Hold on. I know the answer to when it was written. I just don't remember it. In the 1600s. Yeah, okay, 1678. So this was written in 1678. Language changes. So the way that he wrote this, the language that he uses, can be a little hard for some people to understand what he's saying. That being said, there are versions of Pilgrim's Progress that are a little easier to understand. And if you're someone who hears such amazing things about Pilgrim's Progress and you want to read it, but you have a hard time understanding some of that older English language usage, I would encourage you maybe to check out a modern translation. Also, my son, a couple of years ago, he read Little Pilgrim's Progress. She essentially wrote it in a way that was easier for children to understand. That was a great tool for him because he was able to still get the truths of this, but it was easy to understand. And while I know it's written more towards middle grade, I think it's a great read for adults. And so I would definitely suggest read Pilgrim's Progress, okay? One version or another. Read Pilgrim's Progress. The other book I finished was The Princess Bride by William Golding. So the first time I ever saw the movie The Princess Bride, I was a teenager. My friend, I went with her family to the movie in the park or whatever that, yeah, it was a movie in the park. And I saw it for the first time there. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I've watched it tons of times over the years because it is such a great movie. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that there was a book. I did not. And so when I found out a while ago, not a long while ago, kind of recent a while ago, that there was a book, I was really excited. And I wanted to read it. I wanted to see if the movie was a true portrayal of the book. And I think that it was about as good of a portrayal as you can get. And I really enjoyed the book. It was so funny. I ended up texting Katie because Katie is doing the read along for it this month, and I ended up texting her like 2 chapters in, and I was like, I am so glad that you're doing this because this book is hilarious. I have been laughing out loud, and I laughed out loud throughout the entire book. Now there were some sad parts. There were some, there were just, it's adventure and stuff. So there were some parts where you're just like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? I mean, if you hadn't seen the movie before, I saw the movie before, so I kind of knew. But it was still really great. I'm really, really, I'm so glad. I wish I had the physical book, but I had it on Kindle. I'm so glad that I read this book finally, and it was so hilarious. It was so hilarious. I can see why it's Katie's favorite book. But now I can't wait to sit down and watch the movie again because it's one of my favorite movies, and finishing the book is a perfect excuse to watch it. Anyway, I don't know if I'll get much reading done this month. I say that every time I feel like, and then out of nowhere I read like 17 books, and it's wild. I don't think I've actually ever read 17 books in 1 month, but the point is, it's more than I expect. But I do have a lot going on, and I am kind of focusing on my family and what God is leading me to do right now. So, like I said before, reading's taking a backseat, but I'm still reading some really great books right now. I'm still working on Gone with the Wind. I'm hoping to finish it this month. I'm only reading 1 chapter a day, but I am hoping to finish it this month as long as I don't miss any days. And right now I'm also working on Gentle and Lowly. So I am only like half a chapter in. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so it is the 21st of the month, and I have just finished my 3rd book. Been taking it slow, and I decided to not really read some of the other books because I just wanted to focus on getting this one done. So Gone with the Wind, I finished it. Yay! It's taken me a couple of months. It's over 1,000 pages, but that's okay. For a while I was just doing 1 chapter a day because I wanted to take my time with it, but I finished a couple of other books earlier this month, and I was like, nope, I just want to do this one now. I just want to get it done. I have some thoughts. So for anyone who doesn't know, this book follows Scarlett O'Hara as the South is preparing for the Civil War, and it follows her through the preparations of it, which, I mean, it really starts right at the beginning pretty much. And then through the war and after the war, and just how things changed, some of the struggles that they went through, and just her views on things and her actions. And oh boy. So, first of all, I want to say I can see why it's a classic, okay? I think that it can be really easy sometimes for us to look back and say the North was on the right side of things, the South was on the wrong side of things. The North wanted to free slaves, the South didn't want to free slaves. And we can look back and see that, and then in our brains immediately villainize anybody that was in the South because of how they understood things were going to turn out, and just villainize them to the point where we don't care about the struggles that they went through, about the people that they lost, about their hardships during and after the war. I think that can be a dangerous thing, to look back and become calloused towards people who were genuinely struggling and going through hardships, and a lot of them had no control over what was going on around them. Whether they agreed with the South or not, these people struggled. Does that mean that, the language that was used in the book was okay and all that? I mean, no. But at the same time that these words were being used back then, it is historically accurate, and it's a great reminder as to why we don't use those words now, right? So anyhow, I can see why it's a classic, especially looking at the hardships that people went through. And I think that it's a great reminder for us to have compassion. However, that being said, I don't like the main characters at all. I don't like them. Without going into details and spoilers for anybody who hasn't read the book or seen the movie, because before this I had never seen the movie, so I went into this completely blind. But without spoiling things, I don't like Scarlett. I think that she is a brat. She's selfish, and I think that everything that Rhett says about her is absolutely true. He's just the only one willing to say it. And I mean, to her face at least. A lot of people say it behind her back. Anyway, she's not, I don't like her. I don't like her. Just being honest. I see that she did things that she felt that was necessary for what she was going through, and I have compassion for her for some of the things that she experienced. But I don't like her character. I don't like Rhett. He's a cad, to say the least. And I'm honestly not even a big fan of Ashley. He makes me upset. I think the only main character-ish that I liked was Melanie. And she was very compassionate. She was very caring. She was very forgiving. And was she a bit naive? Absolutely. But her character was good, and I liked that. But yeah, any of the other main character-ish people, no, I'm not a big fan of them. And I honestly, I know a lot of people refer to this as being a romance. I will say this, it's not a romance I want. No, it's not. I don't think it's healthy. So while I think that this is a great historical fiction, even if it is with characters that I'm not a big fan of, it is a great historical fiction. It gives a lot of information about things that were going on, the way that people struggled, but I don't like the elements that are supposed to be romance in there. I don't like that. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I mean, probably, there might be people out there that are a little upset because they really like this book. And as far as like the historical fiction wise, I can definitely see why it would be a favorite for people, but I just don't like the characters or the romance elements. I'm glad I read it. I don't think that I'm interested at all in watching the movie now. I don't know. We'll see. But I might give it a chance. Do you know what? I might. Right now, I'm just kind of disenchanted with the characters. But I still think that, like I said, I still think that it is a great classical. I still think that it's a great classic historical fiction. So, anyhow, I am hoping to finish at least one more book this month. I still have like 9 days left. So hopefully I'll see you guys again. You guys, it is the 26th of November, and I just finished my fourth book. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've just been busy working on a project. Hopefully that project will be done beginning of December. And I'm really excited about that. But in the meantime, that just means that I'm reading just a little bit less, and that's totally okay. Also, I decided to try to read for the most part one book at a time. And while a couple months ago when I did that, I read more books faster, it did not happen this time. And here's the thing, I got stuck at reading the nonfiction all by itself because I would read it, and because it's not like a story that Mr. Ortland is telling, it was something that it was just like a bunch of information being like, and here's this about Jesus, and here's this about Jesus, and here's this about Jesus. And it would get to the point where I'm like, I need time to just sit back and think on this and marinate on it. But then because I was trying to read one book at a time, I wasn't reading other books. And so it just took a little longer. And then there was one point where, well, honestly, I'm going to be honest, yesterday, I was telling my husband how this is such a good book, but I'm not motivated to pick it up for like the last 80 pages because I was just almost kind of burnt out on the nonfiction aspect. I wanted a story. And so anyway, I was telling him about that. And he said, listen, you finish the book, and when you finish the book, let me know, and I'll get you a prize. I'm not lying to you guys when I say that I had the book finished within an hour. All because my husband got the little dopamine flowing and I followed that. So, in case you're wondering, my prize was an Almond Joy, which I was very happy about. And I'm so glad I finished it. And it's funny because as soon as I started reading, I got really excited about what I was reading. I just needed to push through. So, really good. So, let's talk about the book now itself. This is about the heart of Christ and how he describes himself as being gentle and lowly and what that means. So the problem is that oftentimes people will say Jesus is love, but then completely forget about his righteousness. Or they will say Jesus is righteous and we have to do all these things and it's very rigid, but they'll completely forget about his love. And the problem is that he is both of those things. He does not have love. He does not have righteousness. He is love and he is righteousness, right? And so we cannot focus on one aspect of who Jesus is and completely forget the other. And there are a lot of people that completely focus or were raised on just the righteousness part, the justice part, but that love was not conveyed to them. They're missing the understanding of that part of Christ, of that part of God and who he is. So that's kind of what this book is getting at. I almost dropped it. Okay, so that's kind of what this book is getting at, is the fact that he is loving, he is gentle, he is lowly, he is forgiving, he's compassionate. And we should not forget those parts. And here's the thing, if we forget those parts as far as Christ towards us, then we're often also going to forget to show that part of Christ to others. And that's dangerous just in itself. So, anyhow, great book. Great book. I really enjoyed it. And there's even a part in here, you guys, this is, I don't know, the childish part of my brain, maybe. But there's a part where it's talking about how, this part made me giggle all day yesterday after I read it. Okay, so there's a part where he talks about slow to anger and how we say slow to anger, but you know how like other languages, to say the same thing, they might have a different saying, right? And so in Hebrew, the phrase for slow to anger is long in nostril. I don't know why that makes me giggle so much, but it's long in nostril. I have a very visual mind. That's probably why. So long in nostril means slow to anger. And he kind of gives like a little like visual lesson as to why that might be, I guess. Anyway, so I've decided from now on that if someone's being patient and I see that in them, I'm going to be like, hey, look at you being long in nostril. I'm so proud of you. And then if someone's short-tempered, I sure am going to say that they're short-nosed. I don't know why this makes me giggle so much, but it brings me joy, and that's what I'm going to say from now on. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. I'm reading a middle grade right now, or at least it comes across as a middle grade. And so I'm hoping that I will have another book finished before the end of the month. We have this week off of school. I know tomorrow's Thanksgiving, but hopefully I'll be able to finish it. It seems to be going pretty quick right now. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. All right, so it is the end of the month. Well, technically tomorrow is the last day of November, and I finished one more book. So I ended up finishing The Prince Warriors by Priscilla, Shirer, and Gina Detweiler. So this was the read-along for Chrissy's book club that she has on Fable, and it was pretty good. It kind of has the vibes of like Chronicles of Narnia, where they're going into another world and they're fighting battles and stuff. So it's interesting. It's very heavy on the allegory. You think that C.S. Lewis is heavy on the allegory with Chronicles of Narnia. This is heavy on the allegory. It's meant for, I would say, probably middle grade. It's definitely written in the style of being easy to understand and trying to convey certain truths, biblical truths, to a younger audience in a way that won't bore them to tears. It was a pretty good book. This is actually something I wouldn't mind recommending to my niece when she gets a little bit older. I feel like my kids might be a little too old for it now to really get into it, but I don't know, maybe we'll see. We'll see if it's something that they're interested in. But I think it could still be enjoyable for people who are a little bit older, but you can tell it's not meant for people who are a little bit older. It really is meant for a younger audience. But I'm glad that I read it. I don't know if I'll read the second one, maybe, but I have so many other books right now and so many other series right now that I want to finish that I don't think that this is at the top of them, but I think probably someday I will get through this. But I'm really glad that I read it. I was really interested to read a book by Priscilla Shirer because I've always known her to be someone who writes spiritual formation books, and you know, she has some great messages out there, great books out there, but I never thought of her as doing fiction. And so this was really interesting to read this, and you could definitely tell her minister's heart behind this. It was good. So that's it for the month of November. I'm really excited that I was able to finish that book. I was really worried that I wouldn't finish it before the end of the month, and I really wanted to participate in that. But I only read 5 books, and that's okay. Like I said before, I've had a lot going on, and there's nothing wrong with not reading a ridiculous amount of books in 1 month. It is okay. If you read one book in a month, that's great. If you read one book in a year, at least you're reading. So I don't think that it's absolutely necessary for me to be reading a ton of books. I want to take my time and kind of soak in some of these. Some of them are very quick reads, and I get everything that I want to get from them, but then sometimes there are books that I really want to take my time with and just kind of soak in it. And this was one of those months, along with all of the busy, crazy stuff that was going on. So anyway, that's it. I'm happy about the books that I read. I had a great reading month, and now I'm ready to kind of get into books that are a little more Christmas oriented. I'm in that Christmassy vibe right now. So hopefully I'll be able to find some really good months in December to read that have that Christmas vibe to them. I hope that you guys all had a great month. Let me know what you read. I'd love to know what you're reading. Even if you didn't finish it, but you're working on a book, let me know. What are you reading? What did you read? All right, I'll let you guys go. I hope you have a great day. I pray blessings over you guys, and I pray that you just feel God's love surrounding you with a nice little hug today. All right, bye.